Bam, son! This is Shooting It Straight, the podcast where life lessons don't come sugar-coated and excuses get benched.
I'm Randy Black, podcast guy, professional question asker, and apparently the only one here who doesn't yell "Bam, son" in public.
Well, we're working on that, Randy. I'm Jim Clayton, coach, mentor, motivator, and the guy who still thinks a whistle may be the best motivational tool known to man.
Each week, we're taking what Jim's learned from the court, the drills, the discipline, the drive, and translating it into real-world success.
That's right. This ain't just about basketball. It's about showing up when life presses full court. It's about pushing through when the clock's ticking down.
If you're looking for fluff, well, you might just want to ride the bench.
We're here to help you believe bigger, achieve louder, and motivate stronger. So buckle up, and whatever you do, keep shooting it straight. Bam, son!
Welcome back to Shooting It Straight. I'm Randy Black. And as we continue to work on our remembering of Jim Clayton, I wanted to take the time to pull an episode out from a show I did back in 2017, 2018 called The Randall Black Show. And on there, we had two episodes that were a split conversation that I had with Jim back then. Same studio space we recorded in for Shooting It Straight. Back in 2018, we sat down and had a discussion and talked about education. We talked about Jim's coaching, his business, things like that. And the end of this conversation hit me hard listening back to it, because the question is, what did Jim Clayton want to be remembered for? And the things he said are the exact things that everyone so far in their statements of remembrance have mentioned and talked about. So please enjoy this recording that I pulled out from 2018 from the Randall Black Show of myself talking with Jim, just like we did on Shooting It Straight. And I'll be back at the end of the episode to close it out, but I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Today I'm sitting in at the offices at Sports City U with Jimmy Clayton. Jimmy, I'm glad you could come on today.
Buddy, I appreciate you bringing me on.
Jimmy, we sat here talking before we got started about, me talking about the first time I remember meeting you. Sophomore in high school, would have been 96, 97 at CK, Cerrito Canova High School at the Teen Institute. And I said, I don't remember anything specific of what you said when you came to speak, but I remember the message was just about being positive. It was all positivity. And it changed the way I kind of looked at some things in life as a youngster. I graduated high school, went to college, got to the second half of my student teaching at Huntington High, and who did I end up eating lunch with most days? Jimmy Clayton. And I was excited, I said, I gotta remember this guy. He talked about all this stuff that was positive, and, it was fun because sitting there eating lunch, I got to know Jimmy the educator, and Jimmy the man a little bit that I didn't see other than Jimmy the speaker. So it was good. I graduated, I started teaching, did my year subbing, and then worked at Enslow for a couple of years and left there to go to Cabell Midland. And who happens to be working at Cabell Midland? Jimmy Clayton. And it was exciting because I watched the interaction and things you had with the kids and other people on the staff, and said, I want to be like Jimmy. I want to have those relationships, and I try to do that now. And it took me a couple of years to get to the point that I could. It's always about growth. And I'm at that point where I feel like I'm starting to have that now. And I want to say thanks, Jimmy, because you kind of inspired me with that.
Well, I appreciate that. Hey, you're right. It does take time. It takes a long time, and you never stop learning how to be better at it.
So we're sitting here, and on your T-shirt, you've got this logo that was designed, and I love it because it's that classic, it's got the Jimmy Clayton mustache that you're famous for with people in the area and people who know you across the country. And it says BAM. And I know that stands for believe, achieve, motivate. What does that mean to you?
Well, when you hear the word BAM, like you turn on a television, you hear somebody say that word. I just started saying it, and it just kind of gives some energy. It makes people excited. Something, when they say BAM, it's like somebody's excited about something.
Oh, yeah.
And so I started looking at that. And so, to be honest with you, it goes back to the teaching roots. Mm-hmm. You can get, it's not always about the educator teaching the student. It's a lot of times about the student teaching the educator.
Yeah.
And so right here in this gym, I was sitting at a camp with my highest level performers and a little boy from Eastern Kentucky. His name's Cole Craze, never forget it. He said, Coach, you know what you used to do? He says, you used to get a T-shirt out there. He said, don't put your face on it. He said, just put your mustache on it. And you should put, bam, son, on that thing. You say that so much. And I'm thinking, he said, you'll kill it. I said, I hear you, Cole. I said, that ain't going to really work. So it kind of laid there for a little bit. And years thinking it, popped back. I said, I think I'm going to look into that. So a little girl across the street from me, she's an architect, interior, graphic designer. Said, do you think you could make up something, come together? So she made up a few things and we pieced it together. And then I sent it to my real graphic artist who lives in Detroit, who I had in high school in 1982 at Huntington East. Now he's one of the top graphic artists in the country.
Yeah.
And we put this logo together. And so I started thinking, I said, the BAM is an exciting thing. I said, what can that mean? What can I really make that mean? It has to have a meaning because that's your brand.
Oh, yeah.
So what's the meaning? And I said, well, what do I talk about all the time? And I'm always talking about believing in yourself. I mean, how many people really don't believe in themselves? And the honest truth is you can't expect other people to believe in you if you really don't believe in yourself.
Right.
And you can I'm really good at reading people really fast. I can tell you in 10 seconds whether you have a lot of confidence in yourself or not, whether you say one word to me or not. So I said, number one, you got to believe in yourself. So that was the belief part. And then the achiever part of it was I always started every year with a saying on my board. No one ever rises to low expectations. So I said, we got to set the bar. I said, for a lot of y'all, we don't even have a bar. So we got to set it. And the most successful and positive people, they don't set it. They set it and they reset it. And then they reset it. And then they reset it, okay? Then they leap over it, okay? And they own it, all right? So the achieve the greatness part was the resetting of the bar, okay? To try to be a little bit better every day, okay? Don't stay the same. Don't live today off yesterday's successes, okay? It's about what am I doing today to make myself better and help other people, add value to other people's lives. And the last part was the motivated. Motivation is kind of a strange tool, okay? It's not something that, it's not something that somebody can give you. It really has something to do with passion of what you're really doing. Because your passion is your energy, and your energy is what keeps you going day to day to day. Because we all know, man, some days it could be like you feel like you're just beating your head against the wall. You're not getting anywhere. So, you got to have that passion. And for me, I was fortunate enough to turn my passion into my profession. So I never really had to work a day of my life. Okay. I never really did. And so when you believe in yourself, you set the bar high and you're going to keep achieving every day to try to be greater. And you stay motivated every day. I mean, you're on the right track to success right there.
Oh, yeah.
And that's really what the BAM is. You know what I mean? So when I look at somebody, I say, BAM! They know when I look at them and I point at them and I say that something good has just happened. I'm excited about it, and, people ask me that every day, and some people know it, and it's really caught on. I've used it with my John Maxwell teaching. That's exactly they told me, they said, that's your brand. Everybody's going to notice. So I hashtag everything, BAM, son. And the son part, that's kind of weird how that came in because, of course, being in the basketball world, I was watching a tape one day. My son brought him The Legends of Bluegrass Basketball in Kentucky. And there's a coach called Billy Mike Runyon who was the coach at Paintsville for 100 years. Real successful guy. And he had a picture in the locker room with this guy, and he was talking. His boy said, Dag, son, can't you guard that guy, son? He's eating you up, son. And then I started going, son. And then it was, BAM, son. And now there it is.
Yeah.
It's just stuck. And here we are.
Yeah. Anybody who listens to my podcast knows that one of the big things I talk about a lot is failure. And it's because I got a fortune cookie. And I talk about all the time, and it said, failure is feedback. And feedback is the breakfast of champions. And that's kind of my brand with the way I look at things. I've got a logo design and everything. I'm looking
awesome.
to put some T-shirts up online, sell them, get some stickers printed up, give out to people.
Awesome.
So I totally get it, man. It all makes sense.
It's, I mean, and it's, a lot of the belief is right on fear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fear does two things to people. It either brings out the best in you or brings out the worst in you. And in the beginning, it'll always bring out the worst. But if you're motivated and you stick with it, but see, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hard part about today's kids and today's world. Everything has to be fast.
Yeah.
This is not a fast process.
Oh, no.
And, I don't care who you are and I don't care what you're doing. Two things. If you're going to be successful, two things got to be present. One, you got to go through the process.
Mm-hmm.
And two, you got to pay the price.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't, anybody you talk to that is making it happen, they've done those two things. And kids today, people today, they want to fast forward all that. Can't do it. You miss too much.
Mm-hmm.
You can't miss the gaps. There's no elevators or steps. You got to take those steps. You can't jump the steps.
Yeah.
And that's the fear, man. The fear, it's like John Maxwell, one of my favorite books called Failing Forward.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes fear is a better way to begin again, and failure is a better way to begin again more intelligently. That's what I tell myself. There's a reason it ain't working.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's go back and figure it out and make it better.
Oh, yeah.
And you're either getting better or you're getting bitter.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why the world's messed. That's why they're mad all the time, because they're bitter.
Yeah.
They're mad because they can't fix nothing.
It's the idea that, so many people are afraid of failure.
Yeah.
Well, failure, if you learn something from it, is awesome. As a teacher, did I fail a lot? Heck yeah. I failed all the time. But did I learn something from it? Most of the time. So it's a positive. It's really a great outcome.
It really is. And own up to the failure.
Oh, yeah.
I own up to it all the time. So in my business world, I say, I made a mistake. I know what I did. Hey, I ain't looking around. I'm not pointing the fingers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at the guy in the mirror. Who's the fault? Me.
Yep.
Okay. That's it right there. And when we do camps and things here, that's the first thing I tell kids. Look, this is going to be a little different experience than some of the other ones because I don't care if you mess up. Matter of fact, I hope you do, because that gets you out of two zones that you never want to play. One is your comfort zone,
mm-hmm.
and the other is your coach zone.
Uh-huh.
And either way, you're not making anything positive happen in those two zones. And they look at me like, seriously? You mean I can make mistakes? I said, yep. You throw it out there in the creek, you shoot it in the... You're not coming out. We're going to figure out what the problem is,
mm-hmm.
and we're going to figure out how to solve it.
Nice.
That's the key.
So, looking back at, you spent 35 years as an educator. I was in the classroom for quite a while before I moved into the position. I mean, I'm still in education, but not in a classroom. What is it, in your opinion, that makes a great teacher or a great coach?
Well, to me, there's an old saying, and I use a lot of sayings. Kids want to know how much you care before they care how much you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we had talked about it a little earlier previously. It's about relationships.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about you and that child, okay? And to me, I think certain people have the ability to look at people and they say, I'm not looking at you the way you are. I'm seeing the way you could be, man. You've got so much potential. Because a lot of them have never heard that in their life,
mm-hmm.
okay? And I don't care what you want to do, okay? It doesn't matter whether you want to be a mechanic. See, most people talk about doctors, lawyers, See, I started at the other end of the spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
See, I never start with those guys because somebody's got to build their house.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody's got to fix their car. Somebody's got to fix the AC
oh, yeah.
when the heat, okay? So these guys on this end are just as important on that end because,
oh, yes.
And see, they don't feel like they're important. They don't feel that. And see, when you make them feel important, you got them.
Mm-hmm.
I got this, and it's sometimes, you don't come up with these things, you just share them. And this is something I did years and years and years ago. I gave him a card, had my name on the front. It said, Jim Clayton, coach, teacher, mentor. It says, you got my number. And it had like a heartbeat across the front, like you would look,
mm-hmm.
got my number. On the back, it had a bunch of people with it showed the back of them. And it says, when you turn it up, it says, and I got your back. And it had a little thing that says, if you're ever in trouble, you're scared, you don't know what to do, and you can't get a hold of your parents, you call me. No questions asked. I'm going to come take care of you. And they give you a look kind of right there on that spot. Like, seriously? Seriously? Now, that don't mean call me and have a personal conversation with me, because
Right.
I respect your space out of school, and you got to respect mine, because respect is a two-way street here.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not the general Patton mentality, my way or the highway. It's a two-way street, okay? And that's where I think a lot of educators and coaches, they get messed up with kids,
Yeah.
okay? And I see kids today and say, Coach, I still got that card. I still got that card. I said, well, it still applies. And, you know, the other thing is I learn everybody's name.
Mhm.
Names are critical to people.
Oh, yeah.
And kids go all day and never hear their name.
Yeah.
They never anybody call their name. And, you know, everybody, you know, if you give a guy a brand new pen, what's the first thing they write? Their name.
Mhm.
And I say, hey, Jay, hey, how you doing? Hey, good job. You know what I mean? And I do research on my students. I see they made a good grade on your test. I said, I see you made I saw you made an A on Mr. Black's test, man. Good job. How'd you know that? See, they know you're checking them out.
Yeah.
See, it's not just about you in that 50 minutes in that wall.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and my method of teaching was so simple, which I think people sometimes, you know, educators, they take things simple and make them tremendously complicated. And good communicators take things that are extremely complicated and make them really simple.
Yeah.
Okay. And it took me a long time to figure that out. You know, it took me a long time to figure that kind of stuff out. But, you know, through John Maxwell and things like that, I speak to him all the time. Hey, how you doing? You know, good to see you. And, you know, I said, you better not go by me and not say hi to me, or I'll call you out right there. I see him at Walmart. I see him everywhere. But I said, let me tell you something. I'm not going to ever do anything that embarrasses you ever in front of anybody. And I really appreciate you returning the favor. And they go, that is not a problem. So those were my simple things. And when I talked to them, here's exactly what I did. Here's what we're learning today. Here's why we're learning it. And here's how you're going to use it in your life today. And too many kids sit there and they think to themselves, why am I learning it?
Oh, yeah.
And see, that turns off the learning button. Because now they're having this personal conversation with themselves, and it's like they're talking themselves right out of learning what you're trying to teach them.
Yeah.
And the next day I say, well, how do we use that? And they come in and say, well, let me tell you how I use that. You know, and see, that's applying the daily things. And I tried to add things every day out of something, out of the book. Took the knowledge part. Let's talk some life lessons. How are we going to incorporate this? So, you know, like I said, I knew some of them had tough homes. I did the research on it. See, some of the kids, I mean, I hate to say it hurts my heart when I say this.
Yeah.
Some teachers don't even know the kids' names after they've been in the class for like 8 months. I'm blown away by that.
I never could get that either.
I am going, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And, you know, I want you to be excited about coming to class every day, because I'm going to meet you and I'm going to greet you. And, you know, two things that we're going to do in this class. One, you know, we're going to be consistent. And number two, we're going to be intentional. You never become great accidentally, and you don't become great inconsistently.
Oh, yeah.
And when you got those two words popping around, that's how I taught. That's how I coach today. And that's how I get people, you know what I mean, that will do anything. I mean, they'll do anything I want them to do. But it's not that simple. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
It's really simple. But I don't think that's taught to teachers today.
I would agree.
It's not taught when you're coming through student teaching.
No.
It's not taught when you're a first, second, third year teacher. See, that's what I think they need to get their claws on. You know what I mean? They need to dig their teeth into that.
It should be better on the job learning than what a lot of them are getting.
Yeah.
They don't see the relationship component and how to build that. You know, I know there's students you had you're still friends with.
Oh, absolutely.
For example, Crash.
Oh, my
I know
man.
who Crash is. Crash is awesome. I remember Crash when I did my student teaching at Huntington High.
Oh, yeah.
I still see him around Huntington all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
And I know you're still close with him. You still talk to him.
All the time.
And
all the time. He calls me, because what's going on? He moved out to Lincoln County, so that kind of messed me up a little bit.
Yeah.
He can't get in as much. You got anything you need me to do? You want me to do some mulch? He said, you want me? I don't care what I asked that boy to do. He never questioned it. He would do it. But he also knew that I would take care of him.
Yeah.
He didn't have to say something to me. If he called me for someone right.
Right.
Okay, Crash, wait. He said, Coach, you know, I got any shoes. I said, well, I tell you what, buddy, where are you? Okay, you got a gym bag? Yep. I said, you just come. When can I see you? When's the next time we get together? Well, I'll come over tomorrow. Okay, come over. You bring your bag. I'm gonna fill you up with shoes because I got tons of shoes, and I'd rather give them to somebody that I know needs them. And again, he would do anything for you. Not money. He don't want. Coach, can you give me a cheeseburger? He ain't even talking about money. Like, how much am I going to get paid? Well, that turns me off right there because if it's not about it's about the money. Money's important, but it's not about the money. If money's your main driving force, you won't have any. Okay, you got to be. I call it mission oriented, not position oriented. See, mission is about the team. It's about making what's the best. It's like the faculty. It's like your classroom, the best ever. Mission oriented. It's about you, and it's all about you. And if you don't get what you want there, you go someplace else. If you don't want what you want there, you go someplace else. So you're always bouncing around. You never stick to nothing, and that's not really going to produce the best results.
Right.
But I talk to people all the time. I mean, now through social media, I mean, I get, I sent a thing out yesterday. One of my players was on the U.S. Olympic team. They won the gold in the U18. She's going to Michigan. I blew her up yesterday on all my, and I said, big time, congrats. And I said, man, Michigan's so lucky to have you. And I'm going to tell you, I said, it was an honor and a privilege to coach and teach you. And I said, my heart is smiling right now. She sent me a text back that would have blown you right off the wall. I didn't say that to get it back.
Right.
I said that because that's how I felt. And, with the educational world today, with the way some of this touchy, people post bad things, it makes you want to back away from the personal hands-on, like pat somebody on the back and say, I never deviated off of that, and I wasn't going to ever constrain to that because I never had those intentions. Right. And I think people know your intentions. Right. Because that's how I coach. I'm a hands out, I'm a touch, high five, pat you on the back, you know what I mean? Put your hands where, on the ball, I don't even think twice about any of that because it's not where I was going. But the world, it's all changed, and it's just, I miss certain aspects of teaching, but I don't miss certain aspects. But I've never really quit teaching.
Oh no!
Okay, see, I'm just
what you're
teaching
doing here. You're not.
I'm teaching. On my. I got a thing on my. Sometimes I put out called Clayton's Court, and I have a motivational sayings, and I pop out on that, and talks that I do, and things, and I'm going to constantly be putting this stuff out there because I'm around people that are teaching me so much good stuff. I can't keep it to myself.
Oh, yeah, you got to share it.
I got to get it out there. It's called my 24-hour rule. If I learn something in 24 hours that moves me, I got to share it with somebody. Oh, yeah. It's going out there. Now, it might go right over some closed mindsets, people that this is the way it's going to be. I don't care what you say to me. I'm never changing anything. And I've always wanted to do a shirt that one of these days I'm going to do it that says, no change, no change. Because change is a tough thing for people. And I'm always willing to change. I'm always willing to try to be better because I'm a lifelong learner. Yeah, I'll try some things. It might not work for me, but I'll tweak it and do some whatever. But I'm not got a closed mindset on. And at Midland, when we were teaching at Midland, they're a little bit together, they did more stuff, staff development things for the staff than I ever went through in all my years of teaching. Constantly. And I implemented tons of that stuff, bits and pieces of it. But there were always the ones, the grumblers in the back of the auditorium.
When I was in my job as technology integration specialist at Huntington Middle, I learned that there are really three groups of teachers, especially when it comes to technology, but just three groups of teachers in general. The first group is willing to stick their neck out. They're willing to try anything because it might be best for the kids.
Yes.
That's the group that every administrator loves. That's the group that, as a tech coach, I loved because they're willing to do anything. Your second group are the people who've been at this a really long time and they're in a rut, and what they have works for them, whether it works or not for the kids.
Right.
They don't want to change. And then the third group are in between, and a lot of times they're willing to try something new, but they won't ask for help. And if they fail, they tend to shut down, and they don't ever revisit it. I loved working with the people in that first group. I loved pushing the people in that second group to try to get them into that first group, or the third group to get them into that first group. That's that group in the middle, the ones who don't want to change. They're tough. And I learned that as frustrated and as angry as I would get with these people because they didn't want to change anything, that I had to pull back and just keep feeding them ideas, keep presenting stuff to them, keep trying to get them to see something different that might help. I can tell you, it was a rough 2.5 years in that job because I had a big group in that middle group, but the ones who were willing to work and willing to try things new, I loved it. And that was the part of the job I loved. And it's that way in all of education, not just with technology, but with education in general. You can break teachers down into those groups.
You nailed them. I've never heard it put that way, but you're dead on. I was in the first one and the third. I'll tell you right now, look, I'm going to hit something. The guy, I can't remember the gentleman's name, who was the last years of the tech guy at Midland, super nice guy, awesome guy.
Oh, Jeff.
Yeah. I'd say, Jeff, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to hit a button and I'm going to mess this up. He goes, you can't mess it up. I said, okay, can I get that in writing? Because I'm going to mess it up. And I said, Jeff, I messed it up. He goes, okay, let me come down and but I was trying to learn.
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to put it in there. And, it's what I found out was that as I was trying to do it, the kids knew how to do more than I did. And they shared stuff with me. I said, how you do that? Man, I just know how to do it, Coach. I said, man, that's awesome. I said, you might want to think about going into that later in life because you're good at this. He goes, I've never had any training. I said, you just know how to do it. I said, that's awesome. I said, I don't know how to do it. Probably the word that describes the one word I wish that I wasn't is I'm a very impatient person. I know I want things done like now. And I know they can't be done now.
Right.
See, so if I want something done, I can pretty much do it right now myself. But it takes time. Good things take time, and you got to plan. But I'm getting better at it. But the big thing was I wasn't ashamed to ask for help.
Yeah, that's the hard part for a lot of people.
I'm first one to go. Hey, can you help me? Can you show me how to do this? What am I doing wrong? You got a minute? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Oh, I remember a day specifically. When we were at Midland, where you and I both were standing outside Kelly Daniels' office talking to her, and there was something you were trying to do, and you were just like, I don't know how to do it, and I was like, let's go back to your room. We'll take care of it. And we went back to your room, and we looked at it, and I helped you through it, and you were like, thank you. He's like, you were so willing to learn how to do it.
I want to learn how to do everything.
So, and that's the role that we need to have, or the mindset we need all educators to be in, because if they're in the mindset, the kids are going to get in that mindset. It's all about that growth mindset.
Well, see, I tell them,
to learn.
I taught through stories. I'm a storyteller. And I wasn't afraid to say, let me tell you, I messed this up. Okay, see, I told them about things I did that were the dumbest things that produced it. And they look at me and say, you seriously did that? I said, oh, yeah, I did it. So it gave them, it kind of dropped their gloves a little bit. You know,
it opened them up.
It took them. I said, let me tell you how I got this turned around. It was somebody that your age showed me something that changed it all for me. Like, wow. They didn't think, you mean we got the power to kind of see that? They just see it so different. It's not a power position talking down to people. I
never should be
down to anybody.
Yeah. Never
would I talk down to anybody. I don't care who you are. Okay. I'm not doing it because I don't have the right to do it. And, just because you have a title, that doesn't give you power. But there are a lot of people in education that have titles. Oh, that are power players. Yeah. You've met them. I've met them. And they don't last long. Right. And they don't have a good cohesiveness and chemistry with their team, their staff. And I mean, that's just like building a basketball team. Your staff is your team.
Yeah. And
the bottom line here is, if you don't have a great culture and relationship with your team, your vision, culture will eat vision for lunch.
Oh, yeah.
Your vision could be the greatest vision in the world, but you've already got people that turns you off on day one. And with education, I could go get that master's in administration. I could have been an administrator too. But like you talked about earlier, I've been dealing 9% of the time with the negativity of all the stuff where the people don't want to be there.
Right.
I like being in the trenches with the troops.
Mm-hmm.
Get the mud, get down in there. Where let's get right in the middle of it. And that's what I like to do. Oh, there's my right hand man.
There's the dog.
There's my right hand man, Alfie. And that's the thing about I've had 8 dogs. I'm down to 3 now. They've all lived 15, 16. I got a 16-year-old lab at home. This is my youngest one right here. And the thing about dogs is, they always treat you like we wish we treated everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's just the happiest, luckiest guy. I cannot believe somebody got rid of that dog. And I'm a dog lover. I'm a sucker for all the dog stories and the videos on. I mean, I just can't believe that people do that kind of stuff. But, that's the thing about being a good coach, good teacher, a good person, a good parent, all those things. You got to have a heart.
Yeah.
You can't have that steel. You got to have, you got to be able to get emotional. They see you. They see certain things that, crack me up. I said, now I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to watch this movie. I tell my students, I says, now, right in the middle of the movie, there's certain parts that just hit me. I don't care if I've watched it 30 times. Something's going to draw a nerve in me. So I'm just going to tell you, I ain't going to drop a big tear right here on there. Look at me like, you do that? Oh, yeah. But if you see me turn around and look at the computer or do something, I'm just refocusing my thoughts. I'm not doing that. And every time I do that, they're all looking at me. I said, I know y'all are looking at me. They'll be back there. I'll be here. They go, I know you're looking at me. And they go, yeah, we're looking at you. I said, I'm good. And they'd see that just adds something.
It makes you more human to them.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Because that's all I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just I'm just trying to teach you things, that you're going. And I had a little girl the other day who I can remember the first day she walked in because her name's Amber Ross. She's in her final semester now at Marshall. She's going to be a teacher. And she sends me stuff of things that she's done that she's basically talked about teaching my class. And I said, let me tell you something. She was the quiet one that sat there, and I had her fiance in my homeroom, and he's a smart guy, and they're both really smart. And they're going to be married. And I said, you're going to be an awesome teacher. And she's going, I can't believe it. And she's just constantly going, thank you, man. Thank you. But you were the reason I said, well, some people just are made for that. And you're one of them.
Yeah.
And, it's just a constant positive what? It's going back to the band. Getting people to what? Really believe in themselves.
Exactly.
And when you believe in yourself, the world is your plate, man. Your canvas, you can paint anything you want. And it never stops.
Yeah.
And we have those ups and downs. And sometimes they know where to redirect to find some positive influence. They know where to go.
Mm-hmm.
They don't forget that. And I don't want them to forget that.
You've been able to leverage your skills as an educator and as a coach into this business, and you're successful. You are
27 years we've been here this October.
It's awesome. You were one of the first in the country.
Nobody really did this before this. I mean, when I started this in 1992, if you wanted, there was no such thing as a basketball lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Now you could get a tennis lesson.
Right.
You could get a karate lesson. You could get a violin lesson. You could get a guitar lesson, but there was no structured, broke down, step by step how to do this.
Right.
And so I went back and I said, I'm going to create one. And so I started just putting stuff together. I tried to look for years. I tried to get the Cabell County to let me, some of the schools, they were closed, and I tried to get Jerry Brewster to let me get in the facility and use it instead of tearing it down and letting it sit vacant.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let me do nothing. So finally I found this little warehouse on 3rd Avenue, and I converted it into a little gym, and I started it. I didn't know anything. Okay. I mean, I said, it's not the right time. There's no right time.
No,
you just got to jump.
Not.
You got to leap. Okay. Well, I'm not smart enough. Yeah, you are. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. Who cares? Just do it.
Well,
it'll fall into place.
It's the whole idea of fake it till you make it.
Go.
You don't hold back. If you don't try, you're not going to see if you can be successful. That's, with doing a podcast, I jumped out there and said, I'm just going to do it.
I'm going to do it.
I see your equipment on the table.
I got it, man. You've motivated me now. I just don't know how to hook it up and do it. But you could show me. And
I looked at doing, not that I looked at, I tried to do a podcast for my students when I was teaching at Enslow, and that was 2007, 2008. And the technology just wasn't in the kids' hands to consume it.
Right.
So I had attempted before. Well, I got to this and I said, I want to give people the opportunity to share what they're doing from classrooms, from their schools, to share their stories about whatever related education. And I said, I'm just going to do it. And I contacted a buddy of mine who was an administrator in Work County at the time. He's now over in Berkeley County in the far eastern side of the state.
Been there.
And he's like, yeah, I'll record with you. I contacted Mark Moore, who's at the Department of Education as a coordinator in Charleston. He's like, yeah, we'll do it. And after I recorded that first night with Derek, and he tweeted something out and said, hey, I just finished recording with Randy for this podcast he's ready to launch. Keep an eye out for it. It's going to be coming out. I got a direct message from a guy who I didn't know. He's a former educator. He has an educational consulting business. His name's Randall Sampson. Dr. Sampson, he's up in Columbus, and he sent me a message. He goes, hey, I saw this. He said, I know Derek. I've met Derek. I've got a book coming out. I'd love to come on your podcast and talk to you about it. And I was like, works for me.
Right.
So I set that up, started, talk to Randall, and he's actually now been on the show twice, been on another time since then. I stuck my neck out there to try this.
Jump.
And I tell everybody, I'm not making any money at this. My expenses on this are really, really low. So I'm not, it's not hurting me. I do this because I want to give people the chance to share their story. In education, we spend so much time hearing about the negative in the news. Hear about the teacher that got arrested for a DUI or had an inappropriate relationship with a student who sent material to a student they shouldn't have. I experienced that one directly, but we won't go into it. That's the stuff that you always hear about. You don't hear the positive stuff very often.
True.
So this is a platform to get that stuff out there. And, it's all about me building the relationships with the people who come on the show, and then they can reach out to other people and go, hey, I sat down and talked with Randy, and he has a pretty good podcast. We talked about education stuff. We just talked. And that's the kind of stuff I want to do because it gives people a chance to talk. I reached out to you. Gosh, it was October of last year when I first reached out.
Yeah.
And I never was able to get with you until recently.
I was thrilled when you sent me that.
And part of what happened, and I didn't tell you about this, part of what happened, I had a MRSA infection.
Oh my God.
That they had to cut out of my arm. So it knocked me out for a little while. That was back in March of this year. I was in the hospital for some days, off work for 9.5. And it threw me off a little bit. And I've started to now get back into it, to get going again with doing this. So, for me, this is about sharing people's stories. It's not about me.
Right.
It's never about me.
It's never about me either.
But I can sit down with you. Recently I sat down with Todd Alexander, and Todd.
Oh, good.
I sat down with Ryan Sachs, who's now the superintendent of Cabell County. I sat down, with my son one day. My son and I sat down at our desk at the house, and we recorded him talking about, how his school year went and the things he learned and the successes he's having, because that's a story, not just about him, but about the success that his school has.
Right.
Because he's at a great school. He's at Kellogg Elementary in Wayne County, and it's awesome. Everything is about leveraging something to put out the positive.
Yes.
And like I said at the beginning, the first time I met you, it was all about the positive stuff. It was all about positivity and the message you delivered. And I'm trying to do that now with this too. And I see what you're doing here. Now that you're retired and you're full-time in this business, you're traveling all over the place.
Yep.
You're working with high schools and teams all across the country. You're with Nike. You do stuff with Nike and go do coaching clinics. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And it's because you've built that brand built on that positive image and bringing those positive aspects out for students and athletes. And that's awesome.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, there's old saying, enthusiasm is caught. It's not taught.
Yeah.
And so, the thing about it is, if I ask anybody, I asked this year, I said, you guys have known me for 20 years. Tell me, am I the same right now as I was? You're exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
That's consistent. It's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
When you come out, and so when a player comes in here, when a student leaves my classroom, here's the deal. Here's my thing. If you're not better going out than you were coming in, I didn't do my job.
Right.
That's how I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's got to be on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't care if I'm not feeling great. The world don't stop because you're not feeling great.
Right.
you got to get through it. And I've just learned how to do that. And it's, I'm going to tell you something else too. When the best way to stay younger is be around younger people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always around younger people that got energy. Sometimes it's all over the place.
Yeah.
I can deal with that because I was all over the place too. I'm exactly like that. And, making them feel good, making them become, they know where they're coming, part of the team. Nobody's really, it doesn't matter how smart you are, doesn't have a good you are, if you're at, where your level is of what you're doing, you're all accepted exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
And see, in a lot of places, it's not like that. And when kids find that vehicle, boy, they like to get in it and ride. And, I've been fortunate enough to do it. I've taken something that I've wanted to do. And, for me, I've worked for 25 years. I've worked pretty much 18 hours a day, every day. So like on some days when I used to just go, I wouldn't necessarily be here and I go to teach for 8 hours. I think I was working a half a day, but I knew what I wanted to do. The passion gave me the energy and the drive to do it. And I've never lost it. I've never lost it in all those years.
And that's the hard thing for so many people. I've
never lost it. And I think I got it maybe more now than I ever have.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know necessarily how or why I got it. I just know, I do kind of know how and why I got it. I mean, a lot of people don't know, but, I was involved in a real serious accident when I was like 12 and I broke my neck. And I spent about 10 months in the hospital flat on my back. And I was paralyzed for a while. Okay. And I broke my C1, 2, 3, 4, 5, blew them out. Most people don't even survive on one of those.
Yeah.
I blew all 5 of them out and I was paralyzed for a while and things were not looking really good for me. And I really shouldn't even be alive, according to the medical experts. But, the paralysis went away. I grew a foot. I learned how to do something. I learned how to shoot a basketball that I never did before. I got in the game. I've stayed in the game.
Yeah.
It's just changed different perspectives of the game. And, when you get a second lease on life, it's hard for somebody to understand that's never been there.
Right.
Where today you're not sure if you're going to see tomorrow. And you do get a chance. There's only one reason I'm sitting here. Only one reason. And that's the man upstairs. There's no other reason that I'm here. And he had a plan for me. And this was my plan. And it's not over yet. No. Okay. It's not even close to being over. For me, it's not just about this gym. It's a big world out there, and through technology and things, you can conquer the world and be out there and never leave this room, which I want to learn about. Okay. And, that's the stuff that floats my boat every day, man. I get up fired up about it every day. Learning new things. I have people I listen to every day. John Maxwell, I talk to him. He's sharing ideas and things I could do. And then I go share with other people. And that's all it is. It's a game. I didn't come up with it. We don't come up with everything that we learn.
Right.
We acquire it through people sharing it. Some things I haven't developed myself.
Right.
I'm a trailblazer. I didn't drive down the road. I paved the road. Now, a lot of people are getting the benefits of that right now. So I've had the opportunity to influence people to go into this. And, the question is, will you stay as long as I did? It's tough. It's hard. Yeah. It's hard because teaching's not easy. My friends go, oh, you just teach school. I go, let me tell you something, buddy. Let me tell you something. When you can't talk to your kid about something, let me tell you, I can. When you can't get to, I saw this the other day and I got it somewhere. And this gentleman was talking about, all you do is teach. Well, let me tell you what I do.
Yeah.
This guy, I don't know if you've seen that guy.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I've seen it, sent it to a lot of people. Yeah, he nailed it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh, did he nail it. And at the end of the day, man, I'm mentally tired.
Yeah.
Because I put my heart and soul into everything that I do every day. I don't take a period off. I don't put worksheets out. You know what I mean? Sit and get.
Right.
I don't do that stuff. My training and teaching and coaching is hands-on. Let's go right now. Okay? And you're feeling what I'm feeling. And so that's why, I think my style it has a little uniqueness to it. And that's what I would tell people. And I tell them all the time. I told it in my class, my camp. I had a classroom. It's about preparation, the process, and the price. And, you got to do all those things. You have to do all those things. And you can't just get it overnight, and you got to keep working on your craft. You got to keep polishing your craft, and you can keep getting better at it. And we talked about that in the classroom. And I've gotten so many things back. I said, this year, when you go to do a paper in class, you get these notes that we went on today. You're going to have some good stuff to talk about. You're going to have some good content to blow it up. Okay. And I got that from other people. Those are things that are shared with me. Okay. So, it's just a game of adding value to others. That's really what this game is all about. All we're doing right now, we're talking. Somebody's going to hear this, something we might say that we don't seem to be important at all.
But it can mean the world to them.
It can mean the world to them. And it might have been something that made their day.
Yeah.
And when you make somebody's day, there ain't a profession out there that can tap into that, man.
Oh, no.
Teaching and coaches. And people that have never done it, you don't really understand it. And I wish you did. Okay. But, I love it. I know you love it. And, I'm learning. I'm still learning. And I'm tickled to death that we're even sitting here today having this conversation.
Yeah. So, you've had over 30 years where you were teaching and coaching and working here at your business. And I know in that time, you've had some people who've been extremely influential to you. And before we start talking, I talked about Joe Bryson, someone we both know.
Oh, yeah.
Both knew very well. And Joe was extremely influential on me in the time I worked for him, because Joe was my boss. And I know you've got people like that. So who are some of those people that inspired you and were influential on you?
Well, probably, I was lucky enough to have some pretty good coaches. Coach Carlos Akers at Camac. He had confidence in me when I had none in myself. I was coming off that injury.
Yeah.
I didn't even think I could play. I wasn't one of the stars, back in 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. I was just the last guy on the bench.
Yeah.
I was just the guy. I might have got on the team, but I was never in the game. Right. And I didn't really see that I was ever going to beat any of those guys, because I thought, and he says, he's the one that gave me the confidence and to do it. And then I got to high school and I had a couple coaches. Coach Gene Ratcliffe was one of them. And I told his wife one time, I said, when he passed away, I said, I probably shaved 25 years off your husband's life because he wore me out. I thought his head was going to pop off his shoulders some days because he was screaming at me so hard. And I said, I know I interrupted a lot of your meals. And I said, I apologize. And she says, you don't even know. She goes, you were the topic of conversation at a lot of our table, but it really wasn't a negative thing,
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, probably the funniest one was the one that you as a teacher, again, and it was the subject that I hate the worst. It's math.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this lady for geometry, algebra 2. Her name was Shirley McClanahan. And she was in Cabell County for a lot. And she got out of the math part and actually was one of the first to get into computer side of technology in Cabell County. And she was probably 5 foot tall, and had a little space between her teeth. I could still see it.
Yeah.
She'd smack me on the back of the head. You're going to get this. She'd come to every game at the Memorial Fieldhouse. She could barely see over the railing across the thing, and she'd watch me. And I couldn't get it. She goes, let me tell you something. When you drove in last night, shot that bank shot, that angle that you shot and hit that shot, that's exactly what this means. That's what that means. That's what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I had teachers, most of my people that really were big influences in my life were teachers.
Mm-hmm.
They were teachers. And I might have hated the subject, but I loved the teacher.
Yeah.
Okay. And they got me to do things that I can't believe I did it, because I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Had to do it because I couldn't have graduated if I didn't.
Right.
And, people like that, as I've gotten older, it's people that have given you chances, that saw something in you, really, that other people, they don't see any. They give you a chance, and that's all you need.
Mm-hmm.
If I can get my foot in the door, I'm diving in, son, and I ain't looking back. Okay, you're not going to outwork me. You're not going to out-enthuse me. You might be smarter than me, because I never was claimed to fame to be the smartest. I was not the valedictorian.
Yeah.
Okay. But the statistics prove, because I remember taking statistics in college. Statistics prove that a lot of valedictorians really end up being subpar people. They were just masters of the four walls.
Yeah.
And they were smart and they could retain information. But as far as like being people and knowing street stuff and the way of the world, they really didn't comprehend that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They were so smart, they were off the charts. But common sense-wise and making day-to-day decisions, they weren't even on the charts.
Yeah.
And so, those were some of the people, John Maxwell's obviously been a big one, you know what I mean? Because, I got a tape from him one time. Somebody just gave it to me. It says, growing yourself, growing others, and growing together. I put that tape in my car and I left it in there for 1 year. I never took it out. And I listened to it 3 or 4 times a week. Anytime I was on the road, which that's kind of my mobile classroom,
yeah.
I'm always listening to people, okay? And I just listened to it and listened. And I said, that's where I started reading his books. And that's when I started teaching some book club things in high school with Regina Saunders at Cabell Midland.
Mm-hmm.
We bought books and I never did anything like that. But probably the funniest one was one of my and people find this hard to believe, but it was the last class I took in college. I couldn't graduate. I said, you don't take this class, you ain't graduate.
Yeah.
And it was my speech teacher. And I just couldn't take that class. I couldn't get up in front of people and take that class.
You're right.
I could get on a court and do anything, but I couldn't get, public speaking phobia, number one in America. I took the class. And when the class was over, I kicked myself every day. Why didn't I take that first?
Yeah.
Because I had so much fun in that class. But she got me to get up there and do things that I didn't think I could do.
Mm-hmm.
And really, that's what it all comes down to. Getting people to think, man, you got an area of uniqueness. And that's what I tell people all the time. What is yours? You're developing. You're finding it right here. You got an area in there. You're good at this. And find your area and stay in it. Because when you get out of it, you're not unique anymore. Mm-hmm. And everybody has that area of uniqueness, but the majority of people in the world have never figured out what it is.
Yeah.
And that's sad to me. But I now know what mine is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mine's not doing all the computer work itself, you know what I mean, and doing editing. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy right here.
Mm-hmm.
Up front, let's get it. Okay? But you can always get other people to do that.
Oh, yeah.
There's people that are really good at that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they got to stick to their area. And I've just learned how to stick to mine.
Yeah.
And I try not to get out of it. And sometimes I do because I have a hard time saying no. And there's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah.
And the day ends at 12:01. And I can't live off tomorrow. I can't live off what I did today tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day. But, I mean, teachers have had a major influence. And I'm sure teachers have had a major influence in you. And, just people, just common people that really didn't know the powers that they had.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Oh, it makes sense. And I've had, and I know you've had this, I've had students come back to me and say, I may not have acted in, when I had you in class that I appreciated you, but after the fact, I do. And here's why. And they would tell me why. I had a couple kids at Cabell Midland. My first year there, I was teaching sociology, and they were seniors. They were preparing to go to college. And after 2 years, I got an email from 2 of them, 2 years later, that said, hey, I had to take intro sociology at Marshall, and I didn't have to do anything to prepare for that class. So you taught me everything already. Said, I want to say thank you for that. And I gave them more skills in that content area so they could be prepared for it. And we did more stuff in that high school class than they did in the college class. And they were excited because they walked in like, this was great. I didn't have to work hard because I already knew the content and I already knew how to apply it. And I was so happy with that. As we're finishing up, because I know you probably have some stuff going on.
Got another guy's couple workouts.
So what is it that you want Jimmy Clayton to be remembered for? I wait till the end to hit you with the tough one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay. I thought about this for a long time. And I heard somebody say, if you had to write your eulogy in one word, what would it be? You know what I mean? What would you, and I thought about that for a while, and it's just like, I was passionate.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Consistent, caring, positive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So like I said, that's been my impression of you for over 20 years.
That's really, I'm the same. I'm the same to everybody, really. You know what I mean? I've never met a stranger, really, hardly. And I've been, like I said, man, it's passion. It's just that's my energy level. I'm the same all the time. And that's really me. That's it. I mean, like I told you, people want to know how much you care for, they care how much you know.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, when you say, well, he was a nice guy. No, he's not. Everybody's not nice all the time. That's a fact.
It is.
I mean, except for dogs. My dog right here, Alfie, he's never been anything but nice to me every minute I've known him. But everybody's not that way, okay? But, when you look at, everybody's not understanding all the time. I mean, you live and you learn, okay? But, I have been passionate about what I do day in, day out.
Mm-hmm.
And that pretty much covers everything. I'm passionate about what I taught. I'm passionate about the way I coach. I'm passionate about the way I teach somebody how to shoot. I teach somebody how to dribble. I'm going to give you 100% of me every day. And that's pretty much what I do every day. I don't care what it is. And I never stop. I don't quit when I'm tired. I quit when I'm done. And, that's kind of me. That's
Jimmy
me,
Clayton.
Man. That's me.
So
enthusiastic, positive.
So as we're finishing up, I want to say thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me. Is there anything you just want to share? Anything else you want to throw out there for everybody listening?
We've covered a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? And it's all stuff that's really important to me. And it's things that I kind of live, eat, and breathe on every day. And, I would just tell people, just, again, find that area, find your area, get around people that are, and the big thing is, get around people in your life that are fire lighters. They make your flame bigger.
Yep.
Not people that put your flame out.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a tweet today from a guy that I coached in the NBA, a guy by the name of Kenny Anderson. Kenny was the best player, they say, to come out of New York.
Mm-hmm.
Played for the Nets, played for Georgia Tech, unbelievable guy. And he's made this statement, which is so true about the society today. He says, it really upsets me that people can't be happy for other people's successes. And you really think about that in every way, shape, and form of everything that we do, people are just tore up with that. And be happy for other people's successes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? There's too many things to be happy about. And unfortunately, the world finds all the negative in the world. So find the positive people in your life.
Yeah.
Find the people that bring out the best in you. Okay. Find the people, because there's a statement that says you become the average of the 5 people you associate with.
Mm-hmm.
So you better look at the 5 people you associate. If you're trying to move up, but you're staying around people that are just happy where they are, they're content. Yeah. Okay. I mean, success is a content disease, man, because people that are happy where they are, that's it. They're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to keep moving that
circle. Moving up. Keep climbing the ladder.
To do that. And, anything, like I said, any way anybody has anything, wants any information or any way I could help them, I don't have to know them to help them. You know what I mean? There's ways to get, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. I'm on
that was my next question is how can people find you, Jimmy?
Oh man, I got my own Jim Clayton Facebook page. I've got an Instagram page. I got my business page, and I have a Jim Clayton, like Jim _ with 2 N's Clayton. Have a motivational page, that's a pretty cool page. I've got Twitter, SCU Hoops.
Yep.
I'm on there all the time.
And I'll throw links to all this in on the show notes. So if anybody wants to connect with you, they can.
Send me something. If you see something that you think I would like, by all means, share it with me, man, because I'm a sponge. I'm a sucker for people that share stuff. I love it. It makes my brain, I twist it. I look at that and I go, I see it a different way. My brain just works totally different than most people's. And like I said, I'm just tickled to death to have an opportunity to sit here and share some things with you. And, I'm blessed to be able to do what I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm healthy enough at the current moment, knock on wood, but I'm still rolling with the punches.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep rolling as long as I can keep rolling. But I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you taking the time, Jimmy.
And I'll tell you this last thing. Believe in yourself or nobody else will. Set the bar high, achieve greatness, and stay motivated through the process. You know what that spells. Bam, son!
Thanks, guys, for listening. I really appreciate it. Another time that we've had Jim on the show in trying to do our best to remember him. So until we put something else out here on the feed, remember that we want you to do everything you can to live your life with purpose, do things in a way that you want to be remembered. So remember to always keep shooting it straight.
Bam, son!